All right, so surface area is quite simply the area that covers the surface of a three-dimensional shape. And so it's the sum of the areas of all the faces. And so when we talk about faces of a three-dimensional shape, it's basically like the polygons where the surfaces on each side of the figure. When you think about something like a box, the faces of the box would be the top of the box, the bottom of the box, the left side, the right side, the front, and the back. Okay, those would all be the faces of the box. And so it's the shapes that kind of create this thing when we talk about the faces. So surface area would just find the area of each of those faces, of each of those pieces that makes the shape, and then we add them all together. It's basically area addition, but in a three-dimensional shape. And so if we look at this first one, it says find the surface area. I just have to kind of look at each piece of this thing. And this is a box. Well, we'll assume that these are all rectangles here. And so if I were to kind of draw this thing in pieces, like here, if I were to draw this, this left-hand side as a rectangle, it's over here, and then just label those pieces, that was 4 feet by 2 feet. Okay? If I were to draw the right-hand side, well, that would be the same thing. I'd get that rectangle again of 4 feet by 2 feet. And then, of course, I want to draw maybe like the bottom of this thing. So if I were to draw the bottom rectangle, that's 2 feet by 5 feet. And then, of course, the top of this thing, that would also be a rectangle that's 2 feet by 5 feet. And then the front and the back of this thing, if I were to kind of draw the front of this guy, that would be a 4 foot by 5 foot rectangle. Sorry, that got a little sloppy. And then, of course, the back of this thing back here, well, that would also be a rectangle that's 4 feet by 5 feet. Okay? So now all I need to do is I need to find the area of each of these. When I'm looking at a rectangle, to find the area of a rectangle, I just do the base times the height. And so if I look at this first rectangle, the base times the height, well, 4 times 2 is an 8. So that's 8 square feet. The next rectangle is the same thing, 8 square feet. And now if I move on to the next rectangle over here, this is going to be a 2 foot by 5 foot rectangle. So again, I multiply those. That gives me 10 square feet. The next rectangle is the same. If I move on to the next one right here, I've got a 4 and a 5, so that's 20 square feet when I multiply that out. And then the next rectangle is also the same thing. And really, because I have a bunch of rectangles that are the same, I don't necessarily need to draw all of these. I could say, well, as soon as I know that this one's the same, I'll just say, you know what, I have 2 of this one, so I'm going to put a little times 2 here, okay? And you know what, I have 2 of this one, so I could erase that and I could put like a little times 2 here, okay? And so we can shorten this up a little bit. We don't have to write every single one. If we have pieces that are repeated, just draw it once and say, hey, I have this many of that thing, okay? If you feel more comfortable having it all drawn out, that's okay too. Okay, with it all drawn out, I just simply have to add all of these pieces together, all 6 pieces together. And if I do that, let's see, that gives me a 40, 60, 76 total in terms of the square feet. So the surface area of this one is 76 square feet. Okay? And again, it's just adding up all those pieces.